Hello! Welcome to Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope that you found some rest and some peace in all of that. There is a lot going on right now. Social media it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot getting piled on top of other things. Important things are happening, but I can't imagine what it feels like for people who are at the center of everything that's happening at the moment. I tried to put out it's not about me, but I tried to put together a couple of tweets last night in support of everything that was happening, but a good friend reached out and said, hey, this is the message you're getting across, which is not the message that I intended to say. Some good news, some good stuff. Last of Us Part 2 is out. I shuffled my time around a little bit because for the last 2 weeks I've literally been doing nothing other than being in this room. I spent some time on Friday and then on the weekend playing through the start of Last of Us, and wow, that game the performances are just, it's hard to find an inroad to it, but let me just say that if you're playing through and enjoying that game at the moment, then I hope you're having a wonderful time with it. I hope you're having a positive descriptors are a little bit of trouble there because it's an intense experience. I hope you're getting out of it what you expected. Let's go with that. So what am I doing this week? Actually, before we get onto the world being a lot, before we get off rather the world being a lot. No, it wasn't even post-protest, but before the protests. Something popped up in my feed. No, it was post-protests. You can see I'm a little bit scattered today, apparently. Trying to figure out how to world again after being in here for 2 weeks is a lot. But I was trying to look for something that I could do, some small thing to just rescue my headspace a little bit, to feel that I'd actually had done something, had changed something, and not the only, but one of the headlines that popped up as actual decent reporting around everything that happened with the protests was the Saturday paper. I'll pop a link in the video for this, but I highly recommend subscribing. They've got digital and print versions available, and it's decent journalism, and that is under attack, has been under attack for a long time in this country, and that feels like if there's one bulwark against everything that's happening, it's objective reporting. That's where things have got to start. Please excuse me for just a moment. There we go. Just feeling a bit sniffly post-shower. It's very cold. It's very cold. But yeah, if there's one bulwark against everything that's happening, it feels like objective reporting is a starting point for everything. Misinformation is how this whole rabbit hole, it's a big part of how everything got to where it is. And I know this is nothing new. Yes, welcome to another episode of Kevin realizes that the world is broader, is a lot broader than he had initially. So yeah, I recommend it. Subscribe, throw some money their way, so that objective journalism can survive, so that we can get some clarity around all of this. Can't fight a battle if you don't know what the battleground looks like. Anyway, you're not here for all of that. What are we doing this week? This is week 2. This is week 2 of Dynamic Audio. So things are going well. Let's see if we can get this behaving, and I'll show you where we are at the moment. Computer, open Bounty Hunter.
Welcome, Bounty Hunter. You may request access to your ship by providing its name and class.
Request access to Corvette Sunstar.
Access request to Corvette class ship Sunstar confirmed. Please provide access code.
Authorization code Alpha Gamma Sigma 519.
Passcode accepted. Initiating transfer. Welcome back aboard the Sunstar. Captain, your seat's been waiting for you.
So I was in two minds.
Sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked.
Exit.
Please try again.
Computer, exit. So I was of two minds as to whether to actually show that, because all of that is Scratch. Like, all of that is just, it's Scratch sound effects, Scratch VO as well. And the VO is not fantastic. It's not where I want it to land. But, you know, that's kind of the whole purpose. This is all placeholder stuff. Like, this is my equivalent of like white boxing an experience. And yeah, it's funny. Like, the closer you get to the final aesthetic, the more things start to stand out as being an issue. Whereas the more loosely sketched things are, you know, the more you can just appreciate the underlying like experience of like what something's meant to be. So yeah, that's where we're at. So a few things that are worth talking about that very briefly, or hopefully very briefly. All of that audio is being assembled based on configuration dynamically. So you can see, and it's actually, I think it's kind of a good thing that you can hear in the final audio. And my partner had a great joke about this. It was kind of like the 2IC was one of the world's most underpaid like theater experience people. Welcome back aboard the Sunstar. Like, he's reading from a script, and that's because the edit, like the cut that I put in the audio before that point was I left too much white space there because I was just getting all of this together. But yeah, it's assembled based on configuration. So, for example, probably the most complex thing that happens is in that last bit of audio where it says authorization code accepted, initiating transfer. So that is a piece of VO that then has a specific ambience bed put under it. It's then glued together with a sound effect that has no ambience bed under it, which is the transfer. And then you get the 2IC saying, welcome back aboard and then ship name. Your seat's been waiting for you. That's a bunch of VO that's glued together, and then that has a different ambience bed put under it. And so what it's doing every time as well is it's then going, okay, so if what I'm assembling is this file and this file and this file, then my ID for what this would look like would be this file. Does that exist? No, it doesn't exist. Okay, well, I'll make it. Or if it does exist, then it serves that file. And it does that with all the component parts. So the gluing together of the VO into a unique asset happens, and then it generates a file, and then it will generate another file with the ambience bed underneath it as well, which is probably, like, it takes a while for it to generate that file, but it's a proof of concept, and there are ways that I can optimize that down the track. And there's also a whole bunch of things you can do with just requesting a bunch of URLs on the server to get it to auto-generate that stuff. But the whole idea of it is just to be able to glue this stuff together dynamically for the moment. I don't know if it supports the other ship name at the moment. Let's see if we can make it listen to us. Computer, open Bounty Hunter.
Welcome, Bounty Hunter. You will request access to your ship by providing its name and class.
Request access to Corvette Widowmaker.
Unrecognized ship designation none.
Yeah. Exit. Yeah, so the other ship name.
The determined your requested intent is Amazon fallback intent.
Exit. And again, it's a proof of concept. There's a lot of UX around there that's a little bit rusty, but yeah, there's a few things I haven't done to glue together the other ship names working in terms of how they're recognized at the moment. But that takes us to nearly 10 minutes in. What am I doing this week? What am I doing today? So today, I'm going to be getting together more Scratch audio, so both VO and sound effects assets. I'm going to be writing down. Let me start that again. I'm going to be writing the script for what I'm going to be putting together, and then recording it. So that's going to move a bunch of cards on the Trello board because I want to get those assets in place. At some point this week, probably not today, but I'm going to write a post as well about the process that I now go through to create an intent, because it is relatively straightforward now, which is good. That's what you want. There's a bunch of steps that need to happen in order to test things reliably. Why? Because coding everything and putting everything together from a configuration perspective and then using that thing, he says, you can't see my hands, but I'm pointing down at the Alexa, is the least time efficient way of doing things. Like, obviously you want to hear how things sound at the end of the day, but doing things that way is the least time efficient way of getting that together. There's a bunch of things you can do first to verify, first of all, if I actually say, if Alexa hears the words that I want it to hear, does it do the right thing? Which comes into model configuration. And then, can Alexa hear the words that I want it to say? Where does it get confused? I had a problem initially that I had to figure out a solution for, and they've actually upgraded the testing tools for Alexa now, where you can provide audio samples, and you can basically figure out with Alexa, what did you hear when I said this? And it had a problem with the word Corvette, which makes sense. It's not a common word, but it's a cool word. And if you can't have a Corvette, like if you can't have a Corvette class ship and have that recognized, it's a loss. And so through the tools, I was able to figure out, okay, when I say Corvette, it hears Corvette. That's what it thinks, Corvette. And so there are ways from a configuration perspective to teach it. No, Corvette, when you hear this word, it means Corvette. And Corvette is one of these specific values. So I'll go into that sometime this week. But for today, it's all about getting those placeholders in place, the sound effects and the VO, writing the script so that I can move a bunch of Trello cards and I can start getting together more of the actual sample intents. Good Lord, this has been another long one. It's a long one again. And where was I going with that? Oh yeah, there was one other thing I was going to mention. So the way that this is going to work at the end of week 3 is there isn't going to be any gameplay in this. I think I mentioned this last week, but I've deliberately unplugged any of the smarts around gameplay just so that you can specify what you want to do at any point and you can hear any sound, because it's all about the dynamic audio at the moment. All right, I've got a lot to get to. I've taken up a lot of your time, so you have a wonderful day and I will talk to you tomorrow.